Hey there survivors, how's it going? Welcome back to Ark Survival Evolved. Today I'm going to share 11 hidden base locations on Crystal Isles. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so this first location's around 51.873.3 and I'll just go out to kind of show you what it looks like when you're going into it. And it's on one of the first islands as you're coming to the floating islands from the south side, kind of near the Dragon Cave. But then when you're going through this way, it's quite well covered by shrubbery. You've also got some metal here if you want to come here for early game just to start off straight away. And you can build in all of here, there's not really any restrictions. And then there's also an entrance here at the back, which I'll just fly out of and give you a little look at. But it can be quite handy having two entrances to your base because, especially if you're a small tribe and someone's raiding you and it gets to the point where you can't defend anymore, you can usually get away with a bunch of loot because they're not usually keeping an eye on both entrances at the same time, especially if they're on opposite sides of an island like this. So that was the first location. Let's head over to the second location. Right, this next spot's around 40.273.8 and it's on the north side of the floating islands. It's basically under its own island, but this is quite a well-known rat hole, but it is a really good base location. There's no restrictions for building anything under here, and there's a lot of these little corners like this over here, which, you know, you could tuck your generator away nicely, and some of your best loot behind, you know, multiple rows of defences, I guess. But I'll just go out and show you the underneath of the island as well, because there's a couple of other little ledges you could utilise. So this little ledge over here kind of has its own little, not really a rat hole because you can only really crouch through most of it. You can stand up at the end, I think. Yeah, there's a bit more room at the end, but still can't really put much in here. But if you take over this spot, then I guess that would be a good place to put your generator and then run cables over, so you can have a nice turret wall here at the front as well, protecting your base. And then this is the rest of the underneath of the island. You got a few other tiny little ledges here, but then it just basically goes down. So yeah, if you can get it well defended, easily one of the best base locations on Crystal Isles, I think. Everyone seems to be fighting over it on my server anyway. Alright, let's head over to the next base location. Right, this next spot's around 47.377.2. And it's only a tiny little spot. You can only really fit like some forges and a smithy and some storage and a few things in here. But it's lovely and tucked away. You could probably get away with keeping some stuff there for a while, unless it's somebody who's seen this video, obviously. But I'll just show you how to get to it. So it's basically just to the right of the top of one of the waterfalls that enter the Crystal Mountain. Now you can just about snap two regular foundations in this point, or you can get more creative with triangle foundations. But what I'd probably advise doing is putting a foundation at the back here and then putting your smithy at the back here, just because it's kind of out of the way. Because of the way that the back of a smithy snaps weirdly, it's going to take up too much room at the front. So as you can see, it kind of snaps weirdly in this foundation, but gotta roll with it. And then you can put pestle and mortars up on here or something as well for more storage. And then you could utilise the floor space as well with preserving bins, small storage boxes. I don't know if the fridge will fit under there, but then no doubt you could squeeze a generator back there. You can squeeze a generator in loads of nice little places. Anyway, let's move on to the next base location. Alright, this next base location's around 47.478.4, and it's basically under the water. There's a bit right at the bottom of that water that doesn't register as water. So I'll just go out quickly and show you the surroundings so you know what you're looking for when you come over to these coordinates. But you're basically just looking for this little pond next to a bunch of crystals, next to a ledge. And yes, right in the bottom corner there. Now, someone with a hard iron eye, if they come within render range, they might just see your base straight through the water anyway. But most people scouting past won't be able to see it anyway. Just like the fire, just to show you that it works underwater. And yeah, especially if you want somewhere just to start off or somewhere to keep it small, this could be quite an ideal location for a little bit. So let's move on to the next spot. Alright, so this next location's around 45.873.8. And again, it's towards the north side of the floating islands. And you're basically looking for these plant Zs, which are close together. It's a very recognisable area when you find it. And then this little ramp that goes up here, you can actually crouch. Just go into walk mode. But yeah, you can actually crouch under this little gap here. Now, when you're thinking about defences, don't put turrets right next to that gap because people will be able to just rocket raid it no problem. So you want to be able to put turrets pointing into that gap, but then a bit further back as well so people can't just rocket raid it. So you are going to be sacrificing a bit of space. But it does open up a bit towards the back, so you have got some room to make a few floors to actually, you know, squeeze some extra crafting stuff if you really want to. But it's not a bad little spot, especially for a solo player or a small tribe. If you wanted to take over the area more permanently, you could put turret towers outside just to make it harder for people to raid, so they haven't just got the one point that they have to get into. And as you can see, there's basically no restrictions for building. So knock yourself out, do whatever you want in this space. Oh yeah, there is this little gap over here on the other side, but you can't get into it, you can't crawl or crouch into it. I did try firing a rocket into it a couple of times on single player just to see what the damage is like. And it's really hard to fire into it, so as long as you don't have anything next to it, you don't really have to worry about damage. But I'll show you what the gap looks like anyway from this side as well. But yeah, not really that much to worry about, just don't place any turrets right next to that gap. Anyway, let's move on to the next base location. Alright, this next location's around 39.6, 61.1. And it's in the cherry blossom area, basically the place with all the pink trees. And it's in this sort of waterfall. And it's a good little hole to get set up in, especially early game. You got enough room to do all your basic crafting stuff and a little bit of basic breeding. You can put a turret wall there as well to protect your stuff. There's hardly any building restrictions here, so you can basically do what you want as well. It's close to loads of silica pills. There's a cementing paste spawn pretty close as well. And there's a good bunch of metal as well that spawns right outside the waterfall and all the way up the cliff. And there's this little hole here as well. Not that you can do much with that, but just thought I'd show you. Anyway, let's move on to the next location. Okay, this next location's around 3963. And this is kind of another just like startup location really. It's on a ledge under one of the rocks in the cherry blossom area again. And it's pretty well tucked away really, in a really low traffic area as well. It's close to some of the ponds with a lot of silica pills, but people aren't really going to be flying that low underneath this area. Not often anyway. You're more likely to get found by somebody taming something over here and then just randomly seeing you. I'll just demolish the foundations so you can see the area quickly anyway. So yeah, you got enough room to get kind of your early game setup stuff on the go. There's a little ledge down there if you did want to make stuff a bit more permanent. You could put a turret tower on there, I guess. And then there's a little gap down here as well with another little ledge down it. You could do similar, up to you, depends on how you want to use the spot. But I probably wouldn't stay here for long. So let's move on to the next base location. Alright, this next location is around 34.4, 55.6. And this one's just north of the cherry blossom area, basically where it meets the snow biome, and it's down a little vertical rat hole, and there's a little area this side but can't really do much here. Right, so I'll just show you how to find it. When you come to the area you'll kind of see this snowy arch, and then you go across the first rock ridge to the left of it, and then yeah, you'll find the hole just down here. And it's not a bad little spot. You can fit a fair bit down here, it's quite surprising. But it's quite hard to defend, so I wouldn't stay here permanently. And people will scout it every now and again, so keep that in mind. It's not a super secret hidden spot. But if you plaster turrets everywhere in the right way, then you should be able to stop any mobs trying to raid it. So I think that's about everything here. Let's move on to the next base location. Right, this next base location is around 35.4, 55. And this is in the giant snow mountain cave. And it's just up on this ledge tucked away in this unsuspecting corner. There's not really much going on over here, so people probably won't scout up there very often. But be mindful in here that it is 6 times damage for any bases that you have in here. There's another entrance over here to it as well, so you want to make sure you keep that defended. because people might be more inclined to actually see that than go into this little corner bit. I'll just fly out a bit to the one tunnel that most people should know by now, because it's not far from that. So here we are, is that one tunnel that you can enter the cave through. And then just head up to the right and then kind of straight forward. And then yeah, just up in this corner. I'll demolish some of the stuff as well so you can see what the space is like with no structures. And yeah, so it's not bad, quite roomy. You can do a good bit of breeding and crafting and stuff in here. Anyway, let's head over to the next base location. Alright, this next location's around 34.3, 48.7, and this is in the giant snow mountain as well. And this is a reasonably well-known rat hole, so it will be scouted every now and again, so you will want to defend it quickly if you come here. But it's down this little rat hole here, and then you could put turret towers up on this ledge and try and defend outside as best you can, really. I'll just give you a view of outside actually, so you know what it looks like when you're approaching it. And yeah, if you're putting turrets outside, watch for line of sight issues, so make sure that they can poke right over the edges. But when you come down here, then you've got quite a lot of building room, and it's completely flat, so you can really make the most of the room. Anyway, let's move on to the next base location. Right, this is the last spot in the giant snow mountain, and it's at 33, 54.6. And there's basically this little ledge kind of tucked away in a corner behind these pillar things. And there is a good bit of room to build. There's also a lower bit as well if you just want to put a huge turret tower or turret wall right up this bit. So as you can see, there's like no restrictions. You can basically build what you want. But up on this bit, it's going to be a bit easier to defend anyway. And I did have a backup base kind of built here for over a month before it even got found and broken into by anybody. Which kind of surprised me because my server's been really active. So it might be a good place to start off with at least or something. Alright, I'll just show you the easiest way to find it anyway. So you've got the kind of 3 entrances on this side to the cave. And you take the middle tunnel entrance. And you just swing right through here, stick to the left, hug the left wall, keep hugging the left wall, and then when you come over to these pillars, you're here. So yeah, pretty easy to find when you do actually know exactly where it is. So yeah, not a bad little spot if you do want a base in the snow cave, because everyone's always scouting the rat holes these days. Alright survivors, well that was some more Crystal Isles hidden base locations. I hope there was a good variety of spots to suit people's different space requirements and needs, etc. Well, if you found the video helpful, please drop a like and a sub to the channel would be awesome, and I shall catch you in the next one. Goodbye for now. Peace.